छत्र चक्रवर्ती छत्र चक्र भुगत स्वयं शुभं सर्वदा सर्व जुगत.
All right, bring your palms together, center of your chest. Let's tune in. Do complete Om Namo Gurudev Namo in one breath. Inhale deeply to begin. Om. So the topic of the class is the radiant body. What Singh Sahib taught, what Yogi Bhajan taught, was the radiant body is when your electromagnetic field or your aura is completely expanded. Everyone has a radiant body, but again, everyone doesn't tap that and draw on it and allow it to work for them. The radiant body is when you're completely expanded and your aura touches its peak capacity and then the trim of it goes golden. That's the radiant body. The person who most in our lineage personifies the radiant body was Guru Gobind Singh. The radiant body gives you power of your projection and power of presence. Right? Anything that you need to say can be said without saying it verbally. Guru Gobind Singh was known by enemy and friend alike to have the most powerful radiant body. Whenever he walked by someone, they felt their life changed. A powerful radiant body gives you that presence when you walk in a room, when you're standing, even in a crowd, you're recognizable. People feel drawn and attracted to the light that you're emitting, and that everyone can emit. But you have to tap that radiant body, and it's difficult. You use the breath, and you use postures, and you use chanting. There's so many different ways you can do it. This dress we have alone gives you that presence and gives you that ability to hold that space. The radiant body is probably, Singh Sahib wrote a whole book on it. And the exercises we do today, you'll see, will give you such an experience of it that you never want to not have the ability to tap into that and to feel that in your life, because it can give you. So, let's warm up. We have with us students and teachers, both alike from Miripuri Academy, the greatest school on earth by far. We all teach there, we all have been there, went to school there, and still live there. And these people who are on the sides are all students and teachers from the school as well. And they're extremely solid in their practice. They all have learned a lot when they were there, and they volunteered to stand up here and go through the torture with all of you to show you how they can do it as well. I know we're building it up, it's not going to be that bad. But if you ever have any question about our school, we'd be very grateful that you bring that to the booth down in the tent. There's tons of brochures and information on Miripuri Academy, and we're actively working to open it up to everyone and every walk of life around the world, to have the experience that we've had there, and to be able to learn the things that we were fortunate enough to learn. We're going to warm up by first doing an exercise called Swan Kriya. So I'm sitting up on your heels. Your hands go on the ground in front of you. Singh Sahib taught this at what used to be known as survival camp. He used to have a bunch of the young adults come back from India and sit up here and go through all kinds of painful exercises and meditations and marching and drills and just really get discipline ingrained in them. This exercise, he said, if you do 108 times a day, it can completely rid your body of disease because it will keep your spinal channel clear. It will allow the energy to flow through the spine into the brain and keep you flexible and young. So with your hands on the ground in front of you, you're going to exhale as you go down, kind of scoop down. You inhale as you come up, slowly. Then you exhale, you arch your spine, your head comes down, your chin comes to your chest. You go all the way back down, sitting on your heels, and then you keep going. It's a fluid movement. It's not like an inhale up and exhale down. You keep the breath flowing, and you keep the movement going. There's no jerkiness to it. It's a fluid movement.
Sort of scoop your nose across the ground as you come up. The breath is very important though. As you're coming up, you feel the upside. That's what you inhale. When you're arching your back and going down, that's the exhale. But it's a fluid motion, so you have to feel it.
Hans Kriya. Whenever he gave Kriya as the name to it, it's complete in itself. This simple exercise stands by itself as a Kriya. Swan Kriya. 108 of these and your spine is really open and you start to sweat. Keep your breath going with it. And really try to adjust so that you feel that stretch from the base of your spine and sacrum all the way up to the top of your skull. Watch the people on stage if you need, if you feel you're doing it a little weird or wrong. They've all got it. The way we're going to teach today is several Kriyas put together. We're not doing an entire Kundalini Yoga set. All of these exercises are from Kundalini Yoga. All of them are Kriyas in themselves, and we're putting them all together. You can practice all of these individually though, and they're great warm-ups. Just about one more minute. You can pick up the pace a little bit now, make your breath a little bit more deep, and get moving. About 15 more seconds. Breathe deep. Excellent. Inhale, come sitting back onto your heels. Hold the breath. And exhale. Relax.
Now that we've warmed up your spine and your arms, we're going to move to a Kriya that I'm sure most of you know. It's called Savangate Kriya. This one, if you were at MPA night, you would have seen the kids demonstrated. So Singh Sahib explains that Guru Gobind Singh gave this to his soldiers to build upper body strength. And it's an entire workout in just this one Kriya. So, well, the demonstrators get into triangle pose. They'll demonstrate a few rounds. But the way it works is, triangle pose, your hands should be about shoulder width apart, and your feet not spread too far apart, but not together either. You're going to inhale in triangle pose, and as you exhale, come down. Nothing should be touching the ground. Your elbows are alongside your body, and just your hands and your feet touch, nothing else. Inhale, push up into cobra pose and arch your head as far back as you can, get the full stretch. And you exhale, back up into triangle pose. One thing about triangle pose to remember, the heels should be pushed down toward the ground. That gives an optimum stretch. and flexibility of the sciatic and all that, up and down the back of the legs. So this exercise, when you do it correctly, is the most powerful workout, and we normally see how the soldiers do it all the time to build upper body strength and have a strong immune system. One thing you can do if it's too hard on your upper body initially, there's an adjusted way you can do it to keep pressure off. So you don't do it incorrectly. If you do it incorrectly, you may hurt yourself. So the way to do it, if it's too difficult in the complete way, is you inhale in triangle pose, exhale, put your knees to the ground, and then you go down all the way down to the ground. Same breath, exhale. Inhale up into cobra from there. Exhale back on all fours. See how the knees stay on the ground as you exhale back, and then you push in that same exhale back up into triangle pose. So a few rounds like this. Inhale, exhale, knees touch down. It's the middle section of a sun salutation.
So let's try it all together. Everyone come into triangle pose. We'll do a few all together, the same rhythm, and then just catch your own rhythm and go with it. If you could do 27, that'd be awesome. You know, 108, that would be something else. If you could do 5, that's great. Doesn't matter, but do what you can. So in this pose, inhale deeply, deep breath. With the exhale, come down, all the way down. Hold it briefly, then inhale, stretch up into cobra. Hold it briefly, exhale, push back. Triangle pose. Staying in triangle. Inhale deeply, exhale down. All the way down, then inhale up. Remember to use the knees if you need to. Exhale back. One more together. Inhale deeply, exhale down. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale back. Excellent, you got it. Take it away.
Really push yourself. Try for 27.
We'll give you music soon.
There'll be music when
the other one really needs music.
Yeah, when you really need music, we'll start. Try for 27, pace yourself. We always find that if you do it too quickly, you burn yourself out. And this one, the breath is really your strength. If you keep the breath, you should be able to push on through. You can build up to 108 a day. That's the prescribed amount. You feel invincible.
This also, the reason is that it touches your radiant body. It expands your radiant body. This exercise alone can really give you that strength when you build it up like that. Imagine, he said they had strength to push a spear through 2-inch thick steel shields. Not because they were so buff and worked out in the gym, but because this gave them that strength of the radiant body along with the physical strength. This isn't just outer or superficial muscle building. This really works the core of your nervous system, and really with the breath will help you to increase your presence and your radiant body.
You're doing great. Keep up. Remember to keep your breath. If you've done 27, inhale and, stay in triangle pose and take 2-3 breaths to center yourself and come sitting down. If you haven't done 27, try and do 5 more. If you've done 54, do 10 more. Always push yourself a little beyond. The students at MPA will come to us and say, yeah, I did 108 this morning, but I think I'm going to do another 200 tonight. It was a good workout, but I have more energy still.
This guy on stage, Hargobind, also had a competition recently with someone who did over 200 in a row. We know what 27 looks like, but we're used to doing it with all the kids, so.
So is it about competition?
Absolutely. It's not about competition at all, but it's fun to do sometimes to push yourself to do more.
Especially in an academic environment. It's a great motivator when you have kids with so much energy that you have to run them from 3 a.m. to 9 p.m. without a break so that they'll sleep at night.
Okay, inhale deeply. And exhale. So the next exercise we're going to do, very well known amongst everybody, is called the squat. So if you come standing up, in Punjabi it's called batke. And this is very traditional, used in the martial arts to strengthen the thighs, to strengthen the lower portion of your body. And the key to doing this exercise is keeping your back straight. You do not want your heels coming up off the ground. So have your feet facing forward straight, not diagonal. You'll hurt your knees. If you need to roll up something and put it underneath your heels, that's okay. And what you can do is there's a couple ways you can have your hands in position. You can either have them straight out in front of you, and you're going to come straight down. You want to come all the way down, so at least you want your legs to be parallel, if not all the way down. But minimum parallel, none of this coming down halfway and then back up.
That's how you hurt yourself.
Yeah. You come all the way down, then you come back so. Another way you can do it is you can have your hands together, and when you come down, you can touch the ground.
This is Nihang style.
Nihang style, with your hands together. So we're going to do 25 of these. So inhaling, and you also have to scoop.
This is
gives you a little motion.
Punjabi workout with momentum. But the thing you really want to be careful is your spine should be straight, heels pushed down on the ground. You shouldn't put any extra pressure on your knees. It should be from your hips and thighs that the strength comes.
Okay? So begin. 25.
Inhale up and exhale down with the breath. These you can go to the thousands.
Mentally vibrate with Sat Nam on the inhale and the exhale.
As you know, this is also in Kundalini Yoga. It's not just a martial arts thing. This is a very, very common practice.
Keep your feet straight forward, not pointing diagonal. Very important. Breath should be powerful. Use your breath. Through the nostrils. And when you've completed, inhale. Hold your breath. And exhale. And come sitting back down.
Now stay standing up now. Shake your legs out a little bit, shake your arms, loosen up because now we're going to begin. Warmed up, good? Yes or no? Yes. All right. So you can practice, those three alone are amazing. You can practice them anytime, anywhere. You can practice them for length of time or for repetition. So Singh Sahib gave 108 of Swan Kriya and 108 of Sarvandande Kriya as a goal. You can exceed that goal, you can work up to it, you can do less, it doesn't matter. But doing that will give you a very sure result. And squats you can really do up to your capacity and push yourself in those as well. As he said, it does so many great things. So the first exercise, and it's the last exercise that's going to be challenging, is archer pose. We're going to do 11 minutes on each side. And this will give you an experience that you could never imagine. You have to experience it and try it to really understand what this does. This is the main Kriya. Don't leave, please. Just do that. It is the main Kriya for the radiant body. Okay, he says it puts a pressure on the sexual nerve, which allows that energy to flow freely. It unblocks it in the hips and the pelvis and through that nerve, and then allows it to channel up your spine, allows it to be transformed into spirit, into ojas, into energy that will serve you and that will really allow you to reach your radiant body. We're going to be chanting while you do it. You can chant along, you can scream along, you can cry along, you can do breath of fire, you can do long deep breathing. It's your choice, but hold the posture. If you shake, like he always said, shake now, you won't shake when you're older. If you're already old and you're shaking, then you'll shake less than you get more old. So it strengthens and solidifies your nervous system. It gives you that one-pointed focus, the ability to hit your target. That's the concept here. You're holding this position, you're looking, locking your eyes straight on one point, and what that does is gives you the ability through your projection to project and achieve what you're trying to project for. Right? Those things that you want to go after in your life, be it spirituality or wealth or health or whatever, it gives the ability in your mind to understand and to perceive through your nervous system that you can achieve and you can reach that goal or that exact pinpoint that you're trying to reach. It's very kind of painful exercise, but when you chant with it, it will go very fast. Put yourself in a space that you're just going to go through it, and you maybe will never have to do this again in your life. If you're lucky, you won't come next year if you teach. We probably won't do that. But maybe this is the only chance you get to do this. Try it, see what it does for you. Bring your right leg forward first, and you can watch them, the left leg back. You make a T of your feet, roughly, so the back foot is a little sideways, the front foot is pointing straight. You're going to bend your weight so that that front knee is, the leg is almost parallel. Right? The top of your leg, the thigh is almost parallel to the ground. At least your knee is bent enough that you can't see your toes in front of you when you look down. Okay? Your hips are at an angle, they're not turned straight in this one. Your hips are at about a 45-degree angle. Your front arm comes up straight. You extend that thumb, and you look at the thumb just like the sight on a bow and arrow. You see that as the sight, but you look beyond that to the horizon, and you fix your eyes on one point, and don't budge them the whole time that you do it. That backhand is stretched back, so there's this stretch across your chest. Right? It's not, doesn't feel like this. It feels like you're opening and expanding your rib cage and your chest, and then your head angles towards your hands so you can see, and keep up. Here we go. The time has begun.
We did 62 minutes of very difficult exercises in the last 3 days, so I'm sure you can keep up. Power of projection.
Gobinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Nirmame Apame 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 कंदे उधारे अपारे हरियम हरियम नामे नकामे गोविंदे गोविंदे 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 उधारे
Hold it. Exhale. Shake out a little bit. Good job. Excellent job. Halfway done.
When you do this kriya, there's no way that your radiant body can't be activated.
All right, switch sides. Let's begin.
Put your left foot forward, bend the knee, lock the back leg.
Vinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname akame vinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname akame vinde mukande udare apare hariyam Viname akame vinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname akame vinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname akame vinde mukande udare Hariyam, Hariyam, Viname, Viname, Govinde, Mukande, Udare, Apare, Hariyam, Hariyam, Viname, Viname, Govinde, Mukande, Udare, Apare, Hariyam, Hariyam, Viname, Viname, Govinde, Mukande, Udare apare hariyam hariyam viname viname govinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname viname govinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname Vinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname akame vinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname akame vinde mukande udare apare hariyam hariyam viname akame govinde 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 mukande udare हरियं करियं निर्नामे अकामे गोविंदे मुकंदे उदारे अपारे 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 हरियं करियं निर्नामे
Inhale deeply, hold the breath, perfect the posture, lock your focus, hold it, exhale, shake out a little bit.
Now relax and come lying on your back. We're just going to relax for a couple minutes.
चक्रवर्ती चक्र चक्र भुगत स्वयं शुभं सर्वदा सर्व जुगते तो कालं परणासी दयालं स्वरूपे सदा अंग संगे अभंगं विभूते चक्र चक्रवर्ती चक्र चक्र भुगत स्वयं शुभं सर्वदा सर्व जुगते तो कालं परणासी दयालं दयालं स्वरूपे सदा अंग संगे अभंगं विभूते चक्र चक्रवर्ती चक्र चक्रभुक्ते स्वयं शुभं सर्वदा सर्वजुगते दुकालं परणासि दयालं स्वरूपे सदा अंग संगे अभंगं विभूते चक्र चक्रवर्ती चक्र चक्रभुक्ते स्वयं शुभं सर्वदा सर्वजुगते दुकालं परणासि दयालं स्वरूपे सदा अंग संगे अभंगं विभूते चक्र चक्रवर्ती चक्र चक्रभुक्ते स्वयं शुभं सर्वदा सर्वजुगते दुकालं परणासि दयालं स्वरूपे सदा अंग संगे अभंगं विभूते चक्र चक्रवर्ती चक्र चक्रभुक्ते स्वयं शुभं सर्वदा सर्वजुगते दुकालं परणासि दयालं स्वरूपे सदा अंग संगे अभंगं विभूते चक्र चक्रवर्ती चक्र चक्रभुक्ते स्वयं शुभं सर्वदा सर्वजुगते दुकालं परणासि दयालं स्वरूपे सदा अंग संगे अभंगं विभूते.
So begin to bring yourselves back, roll your wrists and ankles, stretch your hands, open and close your hands with polite. Stretch your feet straight, stretch your arms over your head, get a good stretch in your spine lengthwise, and then do a cat stretch on both sides. This realigns you to the magnetic field of the earth when you've relaxed. Rub your palms together now vigorously, the bottoms of your feet, and then rock on your spine 5-6 times and bring yourselves up to sitting position. Meditation we're going to do is very special. Singh Sahib taught it one of the last few years while he was teaching down in Espanola in about 2002, I believe. And it's for the radiant body. He said anytime you use the mantra we're going to be singing, which is from Jap Sahib, it's going to increase or strengthen or awaken your radiant body. He said there's several ways to do it. There's many different avenues, there's many different techniques that will do that. And there's many different ways to chant this mantra. So that when you chant it, it's like taking an arrow and throwing it. When you use the mudra, it's like taking an arrow and shooting it with a bow. That's the effect that just adding this mudra has. You take your left hand, make it into a fist, and your right hand is like the hood of a snake, just at the base of your hand, and where the fist and the palm begin, you create a hooded snake, and you hold that at your heart center. It's not on your body, but it's just in front of your body. And your eyes closed down, 1/10 open, looking at the tip of your nose. And you simply have to hold that posture. If you know the mantras Ajay Allah, the almost last story of Japsa. If you know it, you can chant along. If you don't know it, just listen, and that's enough. Copy the sounds if you want. But hold the posture very steadily. Keep your eyes are 1/10 closed, 1/10 open rather, looking at the tip of your nose.
About the radiant body, just before you start, if you're not following clearly, you know when you walk in a room and you see someone for the first time, at a first glance, your intuition or your sensation of that person tells you, oh, this is a bad guy, I have to avoid this guy. Their projection is such that it puts you off, right? And then you go into another room and you walk, for example, if you walk into the presence of a Sikh Sahib or a very holy person, all of a sudden you feel open and your heart center opens and start feeling your energy move. That's the power of the radiant body. And that's how you can really feel its effect. And this meditation will give you such a potency of it and a real cleansing of that whole area.
I used to say a lot of times, you know, when we start to speak, we mess things up. You can just allow your presence to work and just allow people to look at you and feel that, and you stop there and you don't try and put your words into it. You can change someone's life by a glance, by them seeing you and feeling the power. But it's not because you're so great, they felt you, they've seen you. It's because you've expanded yourself to allow your radiant body to shine, to touch your radiant body. Everyone has that, but until you expand your aura and bring yourself to that place, you won't be in it constantly. It won't be working for you as your presence. When you do what you can do through these techniques, then it's enough. You don't have to talk, you don't have to say anything. He used to say there were great saints who would master and really work on the radiant body, and just, that's it. They would walk through town, they'd come to give darshan to their followers, and they'd sit there. People would come up and see them, they'd just put their hand up, they would say nothing. And their presence alone healed people and worked on people. And that's what we're trying to get to in the radiant body. Alright, coming to the position. Eyes closed down, looking at the tip of the nose. Chant along if you know it.
Jala abha abu atu anasakas agajya patu alakha patu kalya dekhe anam panda anathe parmathe ajoni amoni narage narange narupe
I love you.
Inhale deeply and hold the breath. Stretch your spine straight, pull from the base of your spine all the way up and tighten the muscles alongside the spine. Exhale. Inhale deeply again, hold the breath. And now squeeze every muscle in your body. Tight, 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 tight. Spread the energy through your entire body. A little bit more. Cannon fire out. Inhale deeply, last time. Hold the breath. And squeeze every muscle, every cell, every fiber of your being. Consolidate everything to Shunya. Exhale. Keep your eyes closed now. Sit in any posture, perfectly still, just for 1 minute. And experience and feel for yourself where you're at. You can capture that moment after meditation, and you can take a picture of it with every cell of your body. You can feel and remember that feeling. You can recreate it. You can live in that feeling. Obviously, that's why we practice things for 40 days, 90 days, 1,000 days, 120 days, so that we can build that memory within every cell of our being of that experience, so that we can live in that experience with ease. So relax completely now. Open your eyes. And a couple of things before we end. There's a few cool techniques to understand. So Singh Sahib was very amazing with this stuff. He said, what's the point of knowing this technology and not applying it when it's necessary? For example, he told the story of eating too much once at a restaurant, which happened often, I imagine. He was stuffed, said he couldn't eat another bite, but the food was so good that people were serving him with such love. What was he going to do? He kept eating, and he felt so miserable. He was like, God, I have to do something. Then he realized, wait, I'm a yogi. Why am I suffering? So he got off his chair, found a little corner, and sat down on his heels, rock pose, right? It's called rock pose because they say you can digest a rock when you sit on that, it puts a pressure on that nerve. So he sat in rock pose on his heels and rocked back and forth, 3 minutes, side to side, a few minutes, stretched back into fish pose, put the top of his head on the ground and relaxed there for a couple minutes, sat up, went back to his chair and asked for seconds. And repeated the whole process over again. So a couple of little tools he gave with archer pose, and this is unbelievable. It's so effective, it will blow your mind. He said when you feel fatigued and tired to the extent that you can't do a thing about it, you're falling asleep and you need to do something and there's no way, come into archer pose, take a deep breath and hold your breath for 1 minute only. Hold your breath and lock yourself into a perfect archer pose. Exhale, take a few deep breaths, change sides, hold breath on the other side for 1 minute, and then see how you feel. You'll be able to go for several more hours. It gives you instant energy. It's unbelievable. And with Ajah Allah, he said if you ever feel completely emotionally distraught and you just can't get a hold of yourself, there's something happening, something there, and fine, that's okay to feel that way, but you just feel out of control and you want to get a little bit of control. He used to say, go into the bathroom, splash your face with water, sit on the toilet, lock the door. Don't do anything on the toilet. Well, you can, but then you hug yourself and chant Ajah Allah even a few times, even 5 times. Close your eyes, meditate on that shabad. If you can't sing out loud because you're in some public space and you feel insecure about that, then just meditate on it silently. But hugging your arms across your own body tightly and meditating on that, see if you can't compose yourself and bring yourself to a state of neutrality again. It's a very cool little tip that he gave with that mantra. Yeah, he's done so many. He's given this one where you cross your hands like that, and he told a story with it that there's a Muslim, during the Muslim rule actually, that they went after this guy, and he said he was a saint. He wasn't a Muslim, but he was a saint of some other tradition, and they said, sorry, we're going to string you up in this net and hang you up in the trees to die. If you're a saint, you'll get out. And if you're not, then you should have converted to Islam anyway. So this is in India at that time. And so he was naturally in that position in this net, strung up in the trees. And Yogiji says that he knew that mantra and he meditated on that mantra. And they came back a month or more later and they heard him, hey, who's there? Can you get me down? What's happening? And they were surprised that this guy's still alive. He survived however long up there, and cut him down, and his story lived forever. I mean, it's a tradition in that sect of wherever they're from. Yogiji says that story lived forever, that man was remembered forever, and he said that posture gives you the ability to surrender. And when you chant with that mantra, you can surrender and you can bow your head and become diplo on the mat, as he used to say. Be a diplomat. That you can have the ability to bow your head when necessary. So with that, we'll finish. We actually have one short little thing, one last very quiet, very quick meditation. Bring your hands. This is called like you're getting prasad. It's not good pranam because that's completely like this, but just with from the base of the hand all the way to the tip of the pinky touching at the heart center, and close your eyes, attach your thumbs. So your thumbs aren't hanging out like this, your thumbs are in. Close your eyes and in your own silence. In this posture, he says it's impossible to not be grateful. It's a posture of gratitude. When he taught this meditation, it was only for a few minutes, and he said meditate and fill your hands and fill your being with anything that you feel you want. Call it to you and call it to yourself in gratitude. He always taught that there's never begging. In the tradition of Kundalini Yoga, prayer is not asking for something. Prayer is emitting that frequency from yourself that attracts whatever you want and whatever you need. When it comes, it comes. When it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's from a place of gratitude always.
The giver gives and we get tired of receiving. That's what ends up happening most of the time. to develop the attitude of gratitude by receiving with grace.
Fold your hands completely, press them at your heart center. Eyes closed, let's tune out together. Inhale deeply. May the long time sun shine upon you.